All right. So, Kat, thank you so much for joining us today. We really appreciate you taking the time to chat with us.
Oh, absolutely. No problem at all.
So, tell us a little bit about how you got into cosplaying and how long have you been actively cosplaying?
Well, I've been actively cosplaying since about 2010.
Okay.
And I kind of started it because, well, I've always been a bit of a, nerd and geek and stuff and play video games, watch anime, that kind of thing.
Mhm.
Um, And slowly, I just ended up finding or meeting the right kind of friends that were like, "Hey, have you ever been to this convention here in town?" And I was like, "What convention? What are you talking about?"
Yeah.
Um, and ended up going for my first time in cosplay. I just bought one because I didn't know how to sew back then.
Mm.
Um, and ended up loving it. And I was like, "Holy smokes!" And then the addiction happens, and then
And then you
cosplay
start
just doesn't
by,
stop after that.
yeah, yeah, an expensive habit from what I'm told too.
Yes, oh my goodness, it does add up after a while.
So, is there a specific convention that you attend every year, like the same one that you started out with, or is there another one that's kind of piqued your interest now?
Yep, I kind of go to, like, all the ones that are in my area, so I'm, like, up in, Alberta, kinda the Calgary area.
Hmm.
So I go to, like, Calgary Comic Con, Edmonton Comic Con, sometimes 1 or 2 in Vancouver, and actually every year I go to SakuraCon in Seattle.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, and last year was my first year going to PAX Prime, so that one I'll probably attend to more often, I think.
Very cool. Now you were in LA for the Final Fantasy 15 event, the
Yes.
Uncovered event. Were you invited to that event, or did you just you were really interested in Final Fantasy 15 and you thought, well, while I'm there, I might as well show up in some awesome cosplay.
Yeah, we were actually indeed invited. It was a mix of just kind of being at the right place at the right time and cosplaying the right things at the right time. Because how base try to put this in kind of a short terms there. Uh, we went to PAX Prime, which is in Seattle, um, and got to meet Hajime Tabata.
Mm.
Um, for his private signing or whatever, and a couple of us were dressed up as Final Fantasy VII characters as Aerith and Cloud.
Hmm.
So he really, really liked our costumes, and we were talking to the PR and our Cowdy and as well as Tabata, saying how we wanted to, do the four main dudes or whatever from
Uh-huh.
15, and
Right.
we're like, oh, that's really cool, and then one of the Twitch users that we met there as well, who has a huge following, Joe Never Fails.
Hmm.
He ended up talking to the PR down at PAX South again about us. And so finally, she was just like, you know what? No, like, I want them down there. And if they could make those costumes, and they made special exception for us because, as you know, the tickets for the event were for US residents only. And
Hmm.
three out of the four of us live in Canada, so
Right. Right.
yeah, so it was an invitation, so it's quite humbling.
That's awesome. That's so cool. And
Yeah.
it's funny that you mentioned Joe because I'm trying to get him in for an interview. We exchange business cards, so hopefully I'll have
Oh,
Joe on
okay.
soon, and maybe he can expand a little bit more on what piqued his interest about your guys' cosplay so much. I mean, it looks
Oh, yeah,
amazing too.
absolutely. Oh
Um,
my gosh, such a nice person.
yeah. So what's a common misconception that people have about cosplay? Would you say?
Well, a lot of people, I would say a lot of first timers, get scared right away. They see some of the cosplayers that have been doing it for years and years and years, and they get a little bit like, you know, concerned that they're not at that level yet, right? And they have to understand that, cosplayers always start somewhere, right?
Right.
As well as a lot of people seem to think that there's a lot of restrictions on cosplaying. So, if you're not the right gender, you can't, a female can't cosplay as a male, or vice versa. A male can't cosplay as a female.
Hmm.
Um, you have to be the right size for each character, and go boiling down to the basics of what cosplay is meant to be. It's meant to be for everybody. It's not meant to have all these restrictions, and you can cosplay whoever you want and whoever is your favorite character.
Now, so then when you started cosplaying, you weren't very familiar with sewing and kind of like the trade element of it. And are you now? Like, have you developed that skill over the years then, or?
Yes, it was. Of course, it's a long journey,
Yeah,
but
yeah,
I'm definitely not afraid to say that my first probably 3 or 4 costumes back in 2010 I just bought because I was like, I don't know what I'm doing.
yeah, yeah. I'm like, this looks
But
nice. I'll put this on and own
yeah,
that.
exactly.
Very
By
cool.
the time I got to, I think my fourth one was Cloud Strife. I
Uh-huh.
bought that one originally, but I've pretty much remade everything since then. So like you can remake things, you can alter things and stuff, and then now eventually, now I just make pretty much everything from scratch.
Very cool.
Yeah.
So what's been your favorite cosplay then? Is it Cloud?
Yeah, he's definitely probably number one.
All right, second favorite then.
Yeah, I know, right? Probably I do a one from it's a video game called Sengoku Basara,
Hmm,
which is kind of like Dynasty Warriors, so it's samurai and stuff. The character's name is Sanada Yukimura.
okay.
That one's just a lot of fun. I have a lot of fun in that costume. I get to do a lot of really cool dynamic posing and stuff, and
Hmm.
I have to make up my abs, and it's that one's just a lot of fun to run around.
In that six pack.
Yeah.
Very cool. Now, which cosplay has been the most challenging, would you say?
Oh goodness. I would say a mix between the last samurai costume from the same game
Hmm,
that I just made about almost a year ago. That one's name is Keiji. That one just had a lot of really weird pieces on it, and I had to make this massive sword and massive wig, um, and actually the other mixture is my most recent one, which was Noctis.
hmm,
More so, Noctis was more on the detail was very extensive.
hmm.
With video games these days and stuff, you can see everything. So we wanted to get these costumes down to like, the last seam of
Right, yeah.
exactly how
If
it's
you
supposed
zoom
to
the
be.
camera in, you can see, yeah, you can see everything. You can see if there's like a loose thread, you know.
Oh,
So
holy smokes! Like the amount we could see, right? So that one was more challenging in terms of the detail and the fine pieces.
awesome. And now,
Yeah.
are there any projects that you would like to plug? Anything, anywhere we can go and see more of your work?
Yeah, of course. Like I said, I'm pretty much hooked on this fabulous hobby.
Right.
So I'm making a couple more samurais this year. Again from Sengoku Basara and one from Token Rambu. I'm making Genos from One Punch Man.
Oh
Um,
yes. Oh
yeah,
man. Very cool.
that'll be fun.
Yeah.
um, and then hopefully later on this year, though time allowing, the school starting and everything, I want to start remaking Cloud Strife for the remake
Oh,
of
cool.
Final Fantasy Seven. So
Yeah, and that one's gonna have more of that detail, I'm sure, with the PS4
yes.
remake.
Holy smoke, yes, and like my Cloud costume is getting kind of old, so it's about time to remake it anyway.
Right,
Perfect
exactly.
timing.
All right. Well, Kat, thank you so much. Really appreciate you again taking the time and just chatting a little bit about your cosplay. We really look forward to seeing more from you.
Oh, thank you so much for the wonderful, wonderful interview.
All right. You bet.